And we are back here on the Zero Empty Spaces podcast. I believe this is episode 19 with Gulfstream Park resident artist Jillian Blake Fine Art here at her beautiful private studio at our 11th location. If you didn't know about Zero Empty Spaces, myself, Evan Snow, and my business partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau, as local arts advocates, community builders, creative entrepreneurs, and creative problem solvers, started an initiative to activate vacant commercial retail spaces and real estate to make affordable artist studios at $2 per square foot on a month-to-month basis to help walkability, commercial retail, artists like her have space to create outside their house, and countless other great benefits. To find out more, you can log on to www.zeroemptyspaces.com. But the point of the podcast is to connect you with the talented artists like her that make the project what it is. So without much further ado, why don't you tell us a little bit about Jillian Blake Fine Art at a high level, please?
Okay, I am Jillian Blake. Welcome to my studio. Who am I? I am a mother of 3. I went to art school in my 20s.
Which art school?
The Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, which is not there anymore.
I know.
Isn't that so sad?
Okay.
So graduating from the Art Institute, I have done professional art since.
These are the stories that we like to tell. The artists that have been creating, that do it because they genuinely want to create, and you have a heart-burning desire for it. So I know you've been creating for a long time. How did this initially start for you as an artist? When did you start being creative, and how did that unfold?
Well, I started being creative at a very early age. Both my parents were very creative. My father built furniture as we grew up. So me and my sister always found ourselves in the garage smelling all of the wood and all of the stuff he created. My mother also would constantly be creating, whether it was painting Christmas ornaments or redoing the house. She was also very creative. So I kind of grew up just around a lot of creative people.
Nice.
And then right around junior year of high school, I decided I didn't want to go to a traditional college. I wanted to go to art school. My dream was to be just a fine artist. And I found myself, when I got to art school, like probably most artists do, find yourself like, I'm not as good as everybody. I don't belong here. But upon completing it, I actually got my degree in graphic design. So I worked for CBS Sports Line for a while, doing a lot of their ads for NFL, Major League Baseball, and then I went back to school and got my degree in art education, and I am currently an art teacher.
Okay.
I do this as...
We'll get more into that
Yeah.
as well. That's interesting. Where did you get the art education?
At FAU.
Okay.
Atlantic.
Shout out.
Owls.
There you go. This is second person in 2 days to mention the program. So, who were some of your influences in your creative journey here?
My influences range, honestly, from everyone from Mark Chagall painting stained glass and all the way to Georgia O'Keeffe, where she would paint beautiful pictures of flowers, but then you would see that she would transition when she moved to New Mexico, painting the landscape, the skulls and Native American type of design, so she was able to shift. So that shift is super important for me, and really any artist I find over the years, you could see their progression and how they play and they keep creating. I think that's where I draw my inspiration from.
And you've been playing and creating, and what is the why behind this work? As you're, you have a few different styles, a few different mediums. You've been waiting for this studio opportunity for a while. Why do you create?
I create for one reason and one reason only, and that's for me. I create to get out emotions. Sometimes those emotions are sad, and sometimes those emotions are really, really happy, and everything in between. And sometimes when I start a project or I start an art piece, where I thought it would go takes me to a completely different level, and I think the journey is, to me, the most important part, and the story behind why you're creating. Anyone can throw paint on a canvas and call it art. The story and the emotion behind it, I think, is what speaks to people.
Amen. And I'd like to show them some of the emotion and some of the color here. So let's show them some. So tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here.
Okay, so this is my studio. This is where my safe space is, where I create. We'll talk about this one first. This is the first one I created in this studio space when I moved in here, and this one is super special to me. It is called One Tuesday Afternoon While Drinking Tea, and what this represents is these are two of my grandmother's bone china from England, and my husband's grandmother recently passed away, and he went to her funeral sadly alone. I wasn't able to attend with him, and a poem was read at that funeral saying, "When will we be okay with our tragedies and our loss?" And the gist of the poem was, you'll be okay one Tuesday afternoon while drinking tea. You won't know it's coming, you won't be expecting it, but it will come. And what this represents is, it's two faces, it represents my husband and myself drinking tea one Tuesday afternoon. And that's the story behind this piece. It's gold-leafed. It's really special in the meaning behind it.
I love hearing the meaning behind them.
Yeah.
And that's one interesting style and medium. Why don't you show them some of your other work and kind of how you've transformed different styles and mediums? Sure.
I do a lot of kind of pop art style. So you can see I've dabbled in a little fluid acrylic, which is a really fun medium to work with, but it doesn't really lend to my style. It was fun to play with, but it doesn't really lend to a story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The two up here, these are self-portraits. Obviously, the self-portrait of me, you can tell, but the one up top is called Forgiveness. And that's basically, I do a lot of yoga. She's lying in Shavasana, silenced, trying to forgive all of her guilt from motherhood, all of her guilt from just trying to be the perfect mother, the perfect wife, and in Shavasana is where we find our peace. If we move on, if we look at this piece right here, this is called Neutral Nude. This was actually done as a figure study that I kind of wanted to morph into a basic nude image, but as I stepped back from it, it looked less like me and more like everyone. It was basically two people in one. The black line represents the male form and the white line represents the female form, and the wings represent freedom. And I tried to incorporate all of the colors in the LGBTQ community. This is a really important piece for just awareness, and regardless of how you identify, when you look from behind, everybody's the same.
Amen to that.
So this will be actually in an upcoming show for 9 Muses. This is actually for 9 Muses. That's right. That will be, I believe, some point in November. I'll get back to you on the date of that, but it just got submitted. If we move down to this one at the bottom, this is an image that actually took me about 20 years to finally paint. And for people that are just meeting me, don't know this, but I was at Ground Zero during the September 11th attacks. I was staying at a hotel right across the street from the World Trade Center, and my hotel room faced the towers, and I saw both planes hit, and I found myself, when we got escorted out of the hotel, the first tower had collapsed. So we were running for our lives, and as a 21-year-old girl in New York City alone, it was very, very frightening for me. And again, it took me 20 years to finally find the courage to depict what that really meant. And the image in the front is basically a self-portrait of me being raw and emotional and basically naked, and because that's how I felt. I felt in that time everything was stripped from me. My life, basically. I mean, thank God I'm a survivor, but it was a very dark time in my life. Caused a lot of mental illness for me. But if you notice, she is looking towards the light.
Amen.
And a famous saying is if you look towards the light, the shadows fall behind you.
Amen
so
to
that's
that.
basically what that one represents.
This is amazing. So why don't you show us a little bit about your creative process in your studio here?
Of course. So my go-to paint is Liquitex for heavy-bodied, and my go-to for my fluorescents are the Golden. Two really, really good products right there. So what I'm going to show you is the heavy-bodied acrylic of Liquitex. And I like to paint sometimes with my fingers, which gets into like the crevices and really kind of allows you to get in a little bit better. And that's why my pants look like this. I always put it on my pants. But yeah, you can really get into these crevices and really get more detailed when you use the best tools, which are your fingers. But I want to show you some of the gold leafing that I do. So I like to put it in a bottle like this just because I'm able to use it much easier than in the can. And I just put a little bit on my finger. And then I just kind of dab it. Like if I was going to do big spots, I would paint it on and then lay big sheets over it. But this, I'm just going to show you, I want to cover this little area up. So I just kind of add a little bit of it with my fingers. And gold leaf is super expensive, so I like to pick up all the little pieces on the floor, like this little piece. And so it's the bane of my existence. We have a love-hate relationship. I love it and it hates me. It's very persnickety, so when you put on, you have to be very, very delicate, and you let it dry completely. Once you let it dry, you take a very soft, bristled brush. I'm going to see if it works, even though it's not dried completely, just so you can see how to do it. It's very soft, and I only use this brush for my gold leafing. And you can see, you can keep going on, and it keeps kind of peeling off, and it will stick to wherever you paint the adhesive on it. So I'm going to kind of dab this a little bit, and then very lightly, I'm just going to go over it, so you could see how it just comes off.
Amazing. And
just sticks where you want it to stick. And it's so pretty because however the light hits it, and art is all about lighting, and wherever the light hits it, it really depicts texture, and especially in this one is a sun. So depending on where the light's hitting it, it could be a Sunday afternoon, or Tuesday afternoon rather, it could be a sunset, and it's a really cool medium to work with. But be aware, it's very expensive and very persnickety.
Persnickety?
Persnickety.
Is that an art education term?
My mother used it a lot. Persnickety.
Can you tell me what art for art's sake means?
Art for art's sake. To me, art for art's sake is you create for yourself. You create
for the sake of art. For
the sake of art. You don't create to sell. You don't create to fit a category of what you think is modern and what people want in their homes. For me, I create because it's a way for me to express myself. For me it's my therapy. And I encourage everyone to have whatever. It might not be, painting. Your art can be sculpting or using your hands or, ceramics, but I encourage everybody to get out there and use what you have to create to have an outlet other than TV or whatever. It's a really good tactile experience.
This is an amazing tactile experience. I'm glad we got to show them a demo.
Yeah.
This might lead to future classes on the gold leafing.
Yes.
But thank you very much.
Of course.
So what do you like about having a studio to create in outside your house?
Oh, I mean, I can go on a laundry list. The fact that this is my space. Like, this is only for me. My kids aren't here. There's nobody that is bothering me. It's my sanctuary. It provides so much peace for me. And I thank you for that. Zero Empty Spaces is amazing.
We're glad to help, and it's just so great that somebody talented and creative like yourself, who's been creating for a long time, who went to Art Institute, who took over 2 or maybe 3 bedrooms.
Maybe 3, 4.
And a garage, that counts as a bedroom. Needing a space, literally more space to create it, and aside from your house to show all the artwork you created. And we're just so glad to be able to provide a space that now you get to be around other creatives learn from them, listen to them, you know, get inspiration from them, help them hang, you know, Persian rugs that they paint on. You know, so we're so grateful to be able to connect and support you like that.
And real quick, the main reason why I really enjoy Zero Empty Spaces, and I encourage everybody to reach out if you're an artist looking for studio space, is it's not a space that I am interested. If I sell work, that's great. But I emerged in this program because of the networking with other artists, finding muses in other artists and inspiration, and possibly expanding my reach. Like, there's an artist here that uses a lot of charcoal. I don't use a lot of charcoal, so I can pick his brain and learn from him. And I think that you guys provide that, and that's super important, at least for me as an artist, to be immersed in a network.
And it's very interesting how generally in all the spaces, none of the artists have the same medium.
Nobody. And
in this location as well, so you get to see, you know, your contemporaries, and the way we kind of frame it is, you know, these people are neutral third-party strangers that are your contemporaries and your peers that become your studio mates and hopefully inevitably end up becoming your friends.
For sure.
And that opportunity, you know, you couldn't really get that if you went to go rent a studio at whatever art center there is. If there was one that you could just go rent a studio for.
Right.
So the fact that you're here, you got 24-hour access, you got, you know, 30-day month-to-month lease, there's no long-term lease you have to sign, there's no penalty for leaving. We're glad to be able to support artists that just want to create like yourself. You know, if you are a professional artist and you do want to sell, you know.
Right, you provide that, but it's not the end, the means to the end, so to speak. And instead of spending all this money on a studio space, you get to save that money and put it towards art, supplies, canvases, whatever you want to create. So it's beneficial for so many parties, and I absolutely
win-win for everybody.
Oh, it's a win-win for everybody, and I'm so grateful for
including the property owner and including the lovely staff and team here from Madison Marquette at the Village at Gulfstream Park. I want to give a big thanks to Director of Specialty Leasing, Julie Katz, and PR team, everybody at DeRay & Co. Big shout out to DeRay for helping make this happen. Belinda and everybody here at the track. Lovely place in Lauderdale Beach, Broward County, Gulfstream Park, home of the Pegasus World Cup, the largest purse horse race in the world, in January during Fort Lauderdale Design Week, coincidentally. We're very grateful to be here. Everybody's been great. They're very excited to have us. We're very excited to be here, activating and you know, doing what we set out to do by activating vacant commercial retail spaces to support the walkability, support Williams-Sonoma next door, support the other tenants, support the community, support the artist space to create and to be able to be discovered and be able to network with your peers. We're really glad that this has come to life in South Broward and Lauderdale Beach. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up here where they might be able to discover some more of your artwork?
Okay, so this Sunday, Art United is having a virtual exhibition.
That's right.
Called Unmasked. I believe it is from 7 to 8. And I have 3 pieces that I will be putting into display. The first one is Time is Up. And this is a depiction on the times we are in now. Basically to stop all the hate and the divisiveness and to just, time is up. Let's just all come together as one human family. And the astronaut depicts an image that he's trying to protect himself from the chaos that's happening around him. So this will be shown in the Unmasked exhibit, as well as this one down here. This is a self-portrait. It's called Bird of Sorrow. And it's just an insight to mental illness and how sometimes by people that suffer from mental illness feel silenced at times. That is what that depicts. And then this one is called The Hug. And it just is a gentle reminder for people to have some self-love. Love yourself first, and if you love yourself first, you can give that to everybody else around you.
Amen. Amen to that. And show them real quick what you've done with this beautiful little space behind you.
Okay, so this is my meditation area. Whenever artists you'll hear have a lot of blocks sometimes, so I am no different. And so I created this like little space, this little tranquil area where I can go in, I can burn my sage and get some good vibes going and kind of center myself and come back out into my studio and get back at it.
Which was formerly a closet. Now.
Which was formerly a closet.
And then lovely little artists are the most creative with their space and found this lovely Liquitex rack. Shout out to Liquitex if you're interested in supporting local artists.
Yes.
That's one way we could do it. I'm also excited. Last week you guys had open studios during the plant-based festival that Gulfstream Park and the city of Lauderdale Beach put together. That was really great to see. So we'll have some more open studios coming up. If they want to follow you on social media, where can they follow you?
You can go to my IG handle, Jillian Blake Fine Art, or you can go to my website at www.jillianblakefineart.com. Reach out, DM me if you have any questions, if you want to come tour the studio, if you just want to come hang and paint with me.
Amen.
I'm down for it.
Amen. She means it. She's not just...
I do.
It's great. We're glad to have you. I'm glad you linked up with Arts United. They're phenomenal.
Yes.
Dennis Dean, Joseph Sarzinski, one of the artists in our Oakland Park space, participating in Unmasked. I think Leslie as well. A few artists. Dennis Dean, Chuck Williams are doing great stuff. If you're an artist looking for support and want to be part of a community outside of just having a studio as your empty spaces, highly recommend Arts United. Highly recommend the great people doing arts in Broward County. If you want to find out more, follow Choose954. Log on to zeroemptyspaces.com. Drop us a note. And stay tuned. We got more spaces coming soon, more talented artists like her. We're very glad to have you here. Very glad to be supporting you, Jillian.
Thank you.
And excited to see more creative stuff coming out of this studio.
Me too.
And have a good one.